Who's using your product and how? Like after the integration?
Mm-hmm. Well, publishers, of course. So they're integrating one of our products. After the testing is completed, they start running ads. Mm-hmm. And on the other hand side, obviously, we have advertisers which also need to connect with us and start to trade the inventory within our marketplace or exchange.
So you just integrate it into their like web interface or something? So
we require advertisers to integrate with us. We normally work with demand-side platforms, so DSPs. They integrate with us, and then immediately for them, our entire marketplace is available. So basically a collection of different apps, different countries, OSs, and so on. And they can see this inventory in real time, and they can bid on it in real time and make their buying decisions. At this moment, the ad would be displayed on the publisher's app. When I was doing my research, I've seen like the concept like mobile header bidding solution. Can you explain this a little bit? Sure. Basically, header bidding is again, in adtech, this concept exists already for a while. So first came on web and mobile web, and now is also buzzing around for in-app. So this is how things usually work in adtech, starting from display and then going to in-app and further down the line. So normally, and still up to today, publishers set up so-called waterfall to sell the inventory. So on their side, they will prioritize one by one different companies they work with, and based on the past historical data, they will set up this waterfall. So they will say company A goes first because they pay the highest price. And then if they don't pay this price, then it goes to the second, company B, third, and so on until this impression is sold. Obviously, kind of descending as the waterfall goes down. Now, this setup is great, but not good enough because obviously it doesn't give you the real-time data. Perhaps you could sell this impression higher or better than you are selling it currently with your waterfall setup. So there is absolutely a lost opportunity, and this is where the header bidding comes in place, where you, instead of sending a request to the buyer one after another, you send them in parallel. So you ask all your buyers in parallel what price they are ready to pay for this specific impression. So this is the concept of header bidding. Good. Can you tell us a little bit like a customer or company which is using or was using your solution and how they gained what kind of value? Sure. We have a bunch of different publishers which are using our header bidding technology, which is called HiBid. One of them is a US publisher called Text now. It's a messaging app. First, they integrated our tech product back in the time. They were quite satisfied with the performance, but after a certain time, we agreed to try HiBid because we knew that it would bring additional performance, and so it did. After which we started to slowly roll out the new product to more and more users they have. I think after a couple of months we became in the top of 3 or 5 of their biggest partner, including the bigger names which were already named before. So we definitely brought additional value with our header bidding solution that satisfied our client, and I hope we could share more happy examples in the future. One additional thing actually which I think is worth mentioning about header bidding is the transparency which it brings in terms of the pricing. Many companies do not offer transparency in terms of pricing, so the fees are actually sort of a black box for the publisher. Header bidding is also trying to solve this, make everything absolutely transparent to the publisher and to the buyer, right? So eliminate those fees which no one knows about exactly. So this is why header bidding exists as well. Another big topic I want to talk about with you is like women in tech. What is your current state of this movement? Like,
Is it a thing for you or?
I think it's a difficult question because obviously women are very underrepresented in tech and in adtech specifically as well.
Oh, really? In adtech?
Yeah, that's surprising, right? Because it's actually a media business, so you would assume that there are a lot of women, but women in leadership position are still very rare to adtech.
Okay.
So I personally have many times been in a situation when I'm the only female in the group of 25 men.
Okay.
So it is definitely underrepresented, absolutely. And then in adtech specifically, you find a lot of interesting ways of trying to solve this problem, like some of the well-known conferences, for example, we would not necessarily name them, but they do create something called Girls Lounge in the middle of one of the biggest digital marketing conference. Everything in pink, designed, and pink couches. Looking very questionable, I would say, and also stating girls' lounge. You would never see something like this with boys' lounge, right? Yeah. You would never even come to the idea to see or hear something like this. I think intention perhaps is, to bring more diversity to the industry, but the execution is actually quite bad because it just shows that this gender parity is huge.
Yeah. That's what I think. I was like 1 month ago, I was driving with my girlfriend and there was like a parking spot just for women.
Yeah. And it's bigger, right?
Yeah, and it's like, isn't this like discriminating? Like, and Absolutely. She's like, yes, I hate this. Like, that's mean. Like, so you show everyone that we are different. Like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, I agree, absolutely. And even the fact that this parking slot is bigger than for like a normal parking
like
place,
normal,
right? It's ridiculous because why a woman cannot park in the same place as a man. So this is absolutely bringing even more inequality, and you see that in adtech all the time. You see all those breakfasts for women and all those kind of events which are separating by gender. I personally don't like them. Again, maybe the intention is good, so they do try to raise awareness, but sometimes I feel that the execution actually brings even more questions than answers.
They show us that we are different, and I don't know, as you say, like the intention is right probably, but I think it shouldn't be a thing. Like, we shouldn't discuss this. Like, if you're a woman, if you're good or bad, like, I know girls like you or Tanya Emmerling or they are like great. I love to learn and discuss things with them because they're just performing great women, and I think it shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually think that once people stop talking about this separation on the professional level, then you can really say, okay, the problem is solved. Until then, I'm afraid it's still there.
What do you think? Like, what is the best way to solve this problem?
If I would know the exact answer to solve this problem, I probably would already do. But I think first it would require several generations of people to change. And it's a whole mindset change in terms of this is the man's world when you talk about tech. So it should start early. Probably kids should not be separated by saying girls should play with dolls and boys should play with cars. Yeah. I think that already starts in the childhood, where you by default split the skill set between girls and boys. And then I would hope that for this to change, we would see more and more women in the leadership position, because this is really where things can change. Of course, it is important to have mid-managers, women, and so on. But what is really visible for the society is probably women in the key positions, so they can voice their opinions. And I would hope that with the next generations and perhaps even with mine, things would change.
So how can we get more women into tech? What do you think?
As I said, first everything starts with the childhood.
Yes.
Even for myself, I would say, I mean, my parents always allowed me access to technology, which is great. So probably that's why I'm interested in technology. But I also feel like I was not exposed enough to the building and crafting things, for example. I was more leaning towards dolls and things like this, which are typically girly things. And probably my parents were also encouraging this more, or maybe I liked it more. It's difficult to say. But I think encouraging your daughter to try different things, disregarding the fact if it is supposedly a boy thing or girl thing, is important for learning. Then also bringing more women in the higher educational levels, coding and engineers, would be very important. For example, we always struggle to find a girl for an engineering role, for example. And we really want to hire women for those type of roles, because we do think that there can be great female engineers, but it's very difficult. And I think it's not because females are worse than men in coding, but it's just because the mindset is that, well, if I'm a female, I shouldn't go into engineering. This is not really a job for a woman. So the education, and as early as it starts, probably dictates everything.
The stupidest thing I hear, like when girls say like, okay, I'm a girl, I'm a woman, I don't know math or programming or something. And it's like, I think that's like the voice of the parents. They parented them, like, especially like, I think like Russia or like my parent, or I don't know, they say like, okay, no, man has to be like a real engineer and the woman has to be like a teacher or something, or stay at home. And this is still like the mindset of like parents, and that's like the stupidest thing I hear. Like I always discuss this with the girls, because I don't think that's right.
No, it's absolutely not right. And I think it is changing. I do think that parents today, they try to provide different areas to the kids and see what they're interested in exploring. It doesn't mean that, the new generation tomorrow would become this rational in terms of how they treat gender equality, but I think it would be different in around 20 to 30 years when the new generation grows up. But everything starts probably with the childhood. But look, like 200 years ago, or even it was, I think, in the beginning of 20th century, where in the US you still needed to get the permission of your husband to drive a car. I do believe it was the beginning of 20th century. So if you think about it, this is not so long time ago. I'm not even talking about 200-300 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And in some countries today, women are still treated in the way probably you wouldn't want to be treated.
Sure. Let's move back to adtech. What do you think? How will the adtech market change like in the next 10 years?
Difficult to say, of course, because so many things change. I believe that even more it would become way more programmatic than it is now. Still a lot of inventory is traded by signing IOs and just by negotiations, but more and more inventory would move there. Obviously, there would be more innovative formats and new ways of reaching your consumers, like some we talked already, connected TV or digital out of home. Those would be definitely big in 10 years, because we spent already a lot of time watching Netflix, Hulu and Amazon. So I think in the next 10 years we will see even more people spending time and more time spent in those channels. Transparency is definitely another big topic. I think trading would become absolutely transparent, so there would be no unknown fees anymore. Buyers would know what this specific inventory cost, and supplier would know how is his inventory traded. And on top of this, I think privacy concerns probably would even reach a higher peak, because I'm afraid that, as I said, the intention was good, but the execution not necessarily. And my personal feeling is that the average consumer, whenever he clicks OK or no, he doesn't even know what happens. He doesn't even know what is this message about.
Sure.
And I'm afraid that by those type of regulations, which are going without any further education to a usual consumer in the street, that those would create further barriers for efficient advertising. And actually, efficient advertising is good because relevant ads are great. Like, I personally see a lot of relevant ads and I'm happy to see them because they are tailored and made for me and I'm interested in this product. So the real challenge would be to hopefully educate the consumers, and I do hope that regulators would actually take this into consideration when creating those laws and regulations, that they also need to explain what does it mean and what effects those changes would have on the ecosystem, because you need to understand that advertising is allowing internet to be free in some extent, right? Because if there is no advertising, then you need to turn to subscription because no media comes for free. So you either need to pay for it, which is also fine, it's your decision. But if you assume that it comes for free, then you need to accept the fact that the people creating this context and this media channel, they need to be paid. So advertising is there.
So it's kind of what YouTube does, right? They have like a free version where you get ads, and then you can pay for a version without ads.
Absolutely, yeah. And there are a bunch of even Spotify has the same concept, right? You can have it without the subscription, but then you have audio ads. If you want to have no ads, then you pay for a subscription, which is fair. It gives a consumer choice.
Yes.
But I think many consumers assume that there should be media for free. And I think this is where the mismatch is happening.
Sure. What do you think, what will be the biggest touch point in the next couple of years? Like, is it the TV, connected TV? Is it going to be the vehicle, the displays within the vehicle? Or will it stay with mobile? Or
I think mobile would be still there. I think mobile already became just an extension of yourself. It's very difficult to imagine yourself going out of the flat without a phone. You almost start panicking and immediately going back. Because you just do everything with your phone. So I think mobiles, they would stay for a very long time. Connected TV, definitely. I think it will also come way more in Europe as it is now in the US. In the next 10 years, we would see more options outside of the big players. Traditional TV probably will go even more back. In terms of media consumption, and connected TV would be surely there. Unfortunately, I can't really foresee another creative device coming out yet. Probably something variable would be good, like another watch or something which you can carry on with you. But other than this, I don't see any new places where we would spend so much time.
Okay. What can we expect from Pubnative in the next couple of years?
We will definitely do a lot more in video advertising. So this is an area which we are very active already now, but we will be even more invested in it in the upcoming years. We also have a lot of work done already now in regards to connected TV. We're already trading this inventory now, so selling those ad spaces now, but as the industry grows, we'll probably continue the growth there, because ultimately that's the same apps as on your mobile. There are the same apps on the connected TV. We will continue satisfying our publisher needs, obviously, and this would be delivered by providing full transparency on what's happening and some additional services which we can bring to the table, like analytics, and various tools to segment and better understand the relevance of the users and the traffic which you have. And obviously this will allow them to trade the inventory more effectively. Other than this, we do have other plans, but I'm afraid that I can't give it out just yet.
Okay, no worries. Okay, if a listener got his first job in adtech, what advice would you give him or her to be successful?
Read a lot, talk with people, with the right people in the industry who already gathered a lot of knowledge, ask right questions, and don't be afraid to fail. And not know the answer because the industry is changing so much every day that it is okay to not know something at this specific moment.
Okay. What is your last message to the startup world?
So I actually recently saw a very good phrase, which is not my creation, but I really liked it, and I think it really recalls all the startup experiences. So the phrase was, things don't need to be perfect to be wonderful. And I think that many startups and many companies can relate to this. It's a very long way, which is very challenging, and that there are obviously a lot of obstacles, but not all the great things were perfect. So it's okay to try and change.
Okay, good. Eka, we are done. Thank you very much. It was my first interview in English. It
was my first podcast.
So thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you, you too.
Wenn euch die Folge gefallen hat, hinterlasst mir bitte eine 5-Sterne-Bewertung bei iTunes, gebt mir gerne euer Feedback, stellt eure Fragen oder Wünsche. Ansonsten wünsche ich euch eine erfolgreiche Woche und bis bald.